You know, it's a weird paradox, isn't it? We're literally drowning in information, but we're starving for action. So why is it that with all the knowledge in the world right at our fingertips, so many of us just feel completely and utterly stuck? Let's unpack that. And that leads to this question. A question that, let's be honest, can probably haunt you. Why can't I just do what I want? I mean, you've got the goals, you've got the ambition, maybe you've even got a crazy detailed plan. But still, there's this invisible wall just holding you back. It's an incredibly frustrating feeling, but the answer? Well, it turns out it's a lot simpler than you might think. Because here it is, the heart of the matter. The problem today isn't a knowledge gap. Nope, it's an action gap. We're just so overwhelmed with information, so caught up in this mental spin cycle of what ifs and should I's, that we become paralyzed. So that brings us to the real problem here, what I'd call the overthinking epidemic. And before we can even think about breaking free, we have to understand how this silent saboteur is quietly derailing our lives, one single decision at a time. So you've probably heard that crazy stat that we make something like 35,000 decisions a day. Turns out that's a bit of an exaggeration. But the real number for more serious studies, it's somewhere between 400 and 1,000 conscious decisions every single day. And that, right there, is where the trouble really starts. Okay, so this is where it gets super personal. Every single one of those decisions, big or small, it drains your mental battery. Now multiply that by our own special blend of fears, our insecurities, our self-doubt, and what do you get? You get paralysis by analysis. It's that feeling, you know the one, of being so busy planning the perfect first step that you never actually take it. But what if the answer isn't to think harder, but to actually think less? For centuries, the legendary samurai of Japan knew this. They had this powerful philosophy, a way to just cut through all that noise. So it's time we explore Kuno Sekai, or the world of emptiness. Now don't let the name fool you. This isn't about having a totally blank, empty mind. Not at all. Kuno Sekai is about achieving this state of pure, unadulterated action, completely free from that constant, nagging chatter of self-doubt. The legendary samurai Miyamoto Musashi wrote this in his classic, The Book of Five Rings. And look, when he wrote this, he wasn't talking about some relaxing meditation retreat. No way. He was talking about life or death sword duels. In that arena, hesitation is fatal. You act or you perish. And in a lot of ways, our own lives aren't so different. Our opportunities are fleeting. We either seize them or we watch them disappear while we're lost in thought. To really get the true cost of overthinking, I want to introduce you to someone whose story might just feel a little too familiar. And honestly, it's a story that might just change the way you see your own mind. Meet Emily. She was a brilliant analyst. I mean, the kind of person everyone just knew was destined for amazing things. She had this incredible knack for solving complex problems, and a natural business sense that was obvious to literally everyone, except of course for Emily herself. Why? Because she was a prisoner in her own mind. You see, for Emily, overthinking wasn't just some quirky habit. It had real-world, career-killing consequences. When a colleague suggested she launch her own consulting firm, she fell into this 3-month-long research spiral. By the time she finally felt ready, the market had already moved on. Later, a friend offered her a partnership in a really promising startup. What did she do? She spent 2 months analyzing every possible angle until her friend, who was tired of waiting, found someone else. That startup took off, and Emily, well, she was left behind. Again. The thing is, Emily wasn't indecisive. She was just trying to outsmart fear with logic. And as she was about to find out, that is a battle you absolutely cannot win. Her big breakthrough came during a pretty life-changing chat with her mentor, a woman named Ko. So Ko offered Emily a partnership, and over coffee, Emily finally let her guard down. "I'm afraid," she confessed. "I'm afraid I'm not ready, that I don't know enough, that I'll fail." And that right there, that's the voice of overthinking personified. It's that inner critic that can turn these exciting possibilities into just terrifying what-ifs. And Ko's response? Well, it was so simple, but it completely shattered Emily's worldview. She said, "You're not waiting to be ready. You're waiting to be sure. And certainty doesn't exist." That one insight just cut right through all of Emily's paralysis. She was chasing a guarantee that life simply does not offer. The lesson Ko taught her was this: you can't think your way out of fear. You have to act your way out of it. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's taking that first step even when your knees are shaking. The path doesn't just magically appear in front of you. You create it with every single step you take. Okay, so Emily's story shows us the problem and the mindset shift we need. But how do we actually apply this in our own lives? Well, this is where it gets really cool, because this ancient wisdom is being backed up by some seriously cutting-edge neuroscience. What the samurai were calling Kuno Sekai 400 years ago, modern science now calls the flow state. It's literally the same timeless idea, a state of peak performance where you're just acting with complete focus, totally free from the interference of that inner critic. And here's the fascinating science behind it all. Researchers have actually found that when we're in a state of flow, our prefrontal cortex, that's the part of the brain responsible for all our self-consciousness and planning, it actually quiets down. So to perform at your absolute best, you literally have to get out of your own way and let your instincts take over. Okay, get ready for this, because this is where it gets truly mind-blowing. Your brain processes about 11 million bits of information every single second. But only a tiny, tiny fraction of that, around 40 bits, ever reaches your conscious mind. The rest? It's all handled automatically by your subconscious. So when you overthink, you're basically trying to micromanage a supercomputer with a pocket calculator. You're overriding a system that's infinitely faster and more capable than you. All right, so how do we actually start this journey back to flow? Here are the 5 big principles. First, seek clarity on your why, not certainty on the outcome. Second, train your instincts until your craft becomes second nature. Third, act now. You don't need a perfect plan, you just need the next small step. Fourth, you have to embrace error. See mistakes not as failures, but as valuable feedback. And finally, number 5, trust the process. You can't control the results, but you can always, always control your effort. And that brings us to our final and maybe our most profound realization. See, we've been talking this whole time about how to achieve this state of flow. But what if that's the wrong way to think about it entirely? Think about it. Think back to when you were a kid. You didn't strategize about how to play, you just played. Flow, or Kuno Sekai, it isn't some new skill you have to go out and master. It's your natural state. It's your birthright. The real challenge is to unlearn all the layers of self-doubt and overthinking that society has piled on top of it, and just get back to the way you were always meant to operate. As Musashi wrote, when you understand the way, you will see the way in all things. He wasn't just talking about swordsmanship, he was talking about life itself. Kuno Sekai isn't a technique you use, it's a way of being. It's about shedding that paralyzing weight of doubt and simply beginning. So I'm going to leave you with this one big question to chew on. What if all the freedom, all the clarity, and all the performance you're searching for isn't something you need to find, but something you just need to return to? What if it's already inside you, just waiting for you to quiet your mind and let it flow?